live to tape from Michigan. Felicia, we're in Michigan.
I know. Hi, Marni.
Hi, Felicia. Are you we're taking the pod on the road? How does it feel?
Well, it feels amazing.
Get closer to the mic, Mom.
Because of all the stuff that Casey had to pack. I can't believe he did it. So it's great.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a lot of stuff to schlep.
So Casey, side note, is cutting hair in Michigan as well, because if you ever invite us anywhere and your children need haircuts, we roll deep with hair supplies as well as podcast supplies. So we're taking Felicia on the road to my best friend. We like to call her in our house Dr. Emily, because she is a pediatrician and she's always on call for any of my questions and needs. And just so you are aware, Dr. Emily, I have mentioned on the pod before, she was my go-to source about Natalia Grace's pubic hair. So we will have her on the show in a little bit to discuss a few things. So let's start with the news. Mom, I don't know if you heard, Molly Shannon has a new comedy series in development at HBO, and this is really funny. It's a story about a woman, Molly Shannon, deeply addicted to celebrity news and gossip.
Oh, that's almost like me.
And me.
Right.
Her family and friends confront her, send her to a rehab, a fancy celebrity rehab. Where do you think?
All the in Hollywood.
In Malibu. In Malibu, Mom, not in Hollywood.
Sorry.
And instead of confronting her demons, she behaves as if it's the Four Seasons, and she obviously meets a young starlet there. I think this is going to be cute. I'm a big fan of Molly Shannon.
I assume it's a light comedy.
Well, yeah.
Right.
You know my story about Molly Shannon once.
I don't remember.
This goes deep. This is a really funny story.
Okay.
When I was 21 years old, I was working at VH1, and I took the video camera, the camera at VH1, and I had my brother, Craig.
Right. Now I remember.
Be a cameraman for me at a fashion show, and I pretended I was a VJ, a host. And I interviewed many celebrities. The footage is not great because this is what happened. Craig was filming my interview with Molly Shannon, and midway through, Craig goes, I am not I'm not focused. And I was like, what do you mean? I interviewed Scarlett Johansson, I interviewed Wyclef, I interviewed Alan Cummings, and all the footage was out of focus. And the nicest person that night was Molly Shannon.
Now
so
I remember.
went back to Molly Shannon and I said, do you mind? We had some technical difficulties. Can I do this interview with you again? And she was lovely. I think she's one of my favorite people in Hollywood, and I will support everything she does. So that's my story. And if we find that footage...
Wait, is it HBO or Max?
Well, Mom,
what?
Merger. If it's on HBO, it will be on Max. Okay?
Right, okay.
If it's on HBO... Let me hear you say it.
If it's on HBO, it will be on... What if it's on Max? Will it then be on HBO?
What do you mean?
Well,
if it's on Max, it's on HBO.
No, that's not necessarily
give me an
true.
I see what you're saying. Because if it's on Max and it's Discovery, if it's on Max and it's a TLC show,
it won't
be on HBO because you're still paying for cable.
Right.
So you have physical HBO. It will be on HBO, Mom.
Okay, I have physical HBO.
Okay. Mom, did you ever see the movie 9 to 5?
Yes, of course.
1980?
Yes.
Jennifer Aniston is producing a reboot of 9 to 5.
With who?
Diablo Cody is writing it from June.
Okay,
Jody.
okay, but who's... we don't have
names.
names.
Okay. Jennifer Aniston is the name.
Okay.
Is she not big enough?
You know what? Yeah, but it's never going to be like the original. You got to stop redoing things. It's never going to be like the original. Sorry, that's my opinion.
Stop apologizing.
I don't.
That word's got to come out of your vernacular.
It's never going to come out.
They
Sorry.
say women have to stop apologizing in general. Stop apologizing.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen 9 to 5.
Oh, it's very good.
I should watch it.
Yes, you should.
1980 comedy.
There's a lot of movies from the old days that you should watch.
Like what else? Anything that comes to mind? The old days.
Not right now. I haven't.
She can't think.
Right.
She's a Cosmo, and she can't think. Steve Carell rejoins his date night co-star Tina Fey for Netflix's The Four Seasons, another reboot.
Oh, that's the one with Alan Alda, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a 1981 movie
with.
Who?
Was it with Alan Alda?
You would know better than me.
Well, no, I'm just curious if I'm right.
You're probably right.
You're
probably right.
If I can reach back into my memory.
So our producer, Casey Ellis, really wants me to talk about this Richard Simmons news. Some backstory on Richard Simmons. There was a podcast called, what was it? Where's Richard Simmons, Kay?
Something like that.
And we loved it so much that we dressed up our son. I think he was 2 or 3 years old.
No, he was younger.
He was 2, Mom.
Okay.
He walked. He was walking.
Yeah,
he
he was
walked at
walking.
1. He was probably
Right.
2.
Okay.
We dressed him up as Richard Simmons for Halloween, and it was one of our finer costumes. He wore the wig. It was so good. So we did mention on a previous episode that there was going to be a biopic and that everyone was excited Pauly Shore was going to play him. Richard Simmons came out with a statement this week that said, I just read that a man that I do not know is writing my biopic starring Pauly Shore. I do not approve this movie. I am in talks with major studios to create my own pick with some help. Pauly Shore came out with a statement as well. Casey loves Pauly Shore. He randomly follows him and loves Richard Simmons. I'm going to bring him on. Casey, because you're like our expert with all things Richard Simmons. Do you want to say something about this? What did Pauly Shore say?
Not really. I wanted you to say something about this, but I'd be
stop
happy
it.
to contribute.
What do you want to say? What did Pauly Shore say?
Well, Pauly Shore came out and said, well, it's hard to say because his statement felt a little to me like, hey, we're going to make this anyway. And when it does get made, we wanted your blessing. Let's sit down and talk about it. So, but then there was also this article I read that Richard Simmons really thinks Tom Cruise is fit for the role. So I think he's a little delusional.
Pauly.
No,
Richard.
Oh, Richard. So, yeah, I couldn't tell by the response from Pauly Shore if he was just getting ahead of this thing because, hey, we're making this anyway, and, it'll appear insensitive if we don't at least attempt to publicly get his approval of it. But
Pauly went on Facebook and he said, I've been crying all night, right?
yeah, it was a little dramatic, but,
But I feel like that's perfect. And he invited Pauly. He's like, sorry, I keep saying he invited Pauly. Pauly invited Richard. He was like, come. We could sit, we could talk. He said, I'll bring you matzo ball soup and a pastrami sandwich from Cantor's. I know you know Cantor's.
I'm aware.
Casey played some music at Cantor's in L.A.
It's true. Yeah, no, so that's I think that's where it's at. It's like, but at the same time, it's like, how involved do you want the subject of the film to be in?
He wants his blessing.
Well, he wants his blessing, but let's say Richard Simmons is the really going after getting his own writers and people
Right.
that make his own. Is it going to be what you want it to be from the story, or is it going to be a very light version of it, right?
Well, time will tell.
I feel like an outsider telling the story could potentially have the knit and grit that maybe it wouldn't have if the subject of the story was pursuing the writers and lining everything up. So I think the Pauly Shore one would be better.
Mom, what do you think of Richard Simmons saying, I don't approve of this?
Do you really want to know? I really don't care.
Mom,
I'm sorry.
Why don't you care?
Do you want my
Casey's laughing.
honest opinion?
I love your honest opinion,
Because
as does everybody.
I'm like Richard Simmons. He had
So
his
you don't
heyday.
get the love of Richard
You're
Simmons
right,
and
I
the
don't. I
podcast
don't.
that we listen to.
I don't. I
You
don't
don't-
get it.
I think if you had listened to the podcast, I don't think I realized, I think he was a pretty genuine dude. I always, as
Mom,
a kid...
he helped women lose weight in the 80s. Did you ever do his exercise videos?
No.
I will never forget as a kid, there were the VHSs were in my friend's house, and we did it just for fun, just for dancing. What do you have against Richard Simmons?
I have nothing against him.
Yes, you do.
First of all, I have a very good friend who contacted Richard Simmons years ago.
What?
Years ago.
In Florida.
No.
My people go.
In California.
Oh,
Regarding her husband, who was very, very...
overweight. And did he
overweight.
respond?
Yes, he did. That's all I remember, because eventually after that, the husband passed away.
Okay, so wait,
it was not.
wait,
there was
so-
no follow-up.
I just want to say that should make you love Richard Simmons even more, that he
No, I'm not-
responded.
He did respond.
Then
and he
why don't you care?
Because I just don't care. It's something that happened 20 years ago. I just
But
don't, or
he
30
went
years
missing.
ago.
It was the podcast. He went missing. He held up. He didn't want. I'm so intrigued by this man.
Well, maybe
by
because
this man's
he,
life.
because he
and then there was
became-
the maid. The maid was his friend. The maid was living with him. Did the maid kidnap him? I'm so intrigued. This movie has layers. It could go above and beyond. It could be the Oscar that Pauly Shore maybe would be nominated for.
Can you tell everybody who Pauly Shore is? I don't know if your audience really knows who Paul.
I think my audience definitely knows who
who
Pauly
is his
Shore
mother
is.
and where did he begin?
Here we go,
Do
Felicia.
you know that? That's right. And she owned
Repeat this.
The Comedy
we
Store.
went through this
when?
on another pod. But just in case you're listening and you're new.
Right.
All right, so tell us give us the
I mean,
background, Mom.
The only background I know is that his mother famously had a comedy store on Sunset in its heyday, and she had all the huge comedians on, for their beginning.
Great.
And her son was Pauly Shore.
But you don't care about him. He was an Encino Man. I feel like he was big on MTV.
Well, that's why I wasn't.
And he needs a comeback.
Well, okay, great. That's your opinion. You're allowed it. And that my opinion is I don't really care.
Felicia does not care about Richard Simmons. And I'm, am I disappointed? I'm a little, especially because he helped women lose weight. And as somebody that has struggled with their weight, you should care. You should want to see his journey.
Okay.
I'm disappointed, Mom.
Fine. You can be disappointed.
But
oh my God.
Talking about weight.
Thank God I didn't murder anybody. Then you'd really be disappointed.
He didn't murder. What are you talking about?
No, not him. Me. You said you're disappointed in me.
Mom.
Okay. Marni is disappointed with me.
About your...
Wah.
Just want you to care more. I hear a little giggling in the background. So let's bring on Dr. Emily.
Hi.
Dr. Emily, thank you for having us. Dr. Emily is an amazing host, and we are retreating here for the weekend in her beautiful home. There's a hot yoga room, and I never want to leave. So thank you for having our family here. A little backstory. We met freshman year at the University of Michigan. I think I recall seeing you on a rowing machine at the...
But was that before or after the drunk walk home from like a frat party? When you grabbed me in that turquoise halter top, and you're like, we started talking... We talk about this all the time. You're looking at me like you don't remember.
No, because I'm really trying to think if I saw you in the gym first.
I don't
Maybe
know.
I saw you at the party we spoke
But we were stumbling our way back to Markley because it was an hour walk.
Yeah.
And we started talking, and you just grabbed my wrist and you said, I can tell we're going to be best friends.
Wow.
We are going to be best friends.
I saw the future. Mm-hmm. Do you think I was like, and our children are going to be obsessed with each other and my son's going to want to live in your home forever?
No.
No, I never brought up children.
No. We never saw that coming.
We never saw that coming. So Dr. Emily, thank you for always having an open line and for letting me call you whenever we have questions. And I have some inquiries for you, being that we have this podcast about all the things we watch. And the concern, I'm wondering, do your patients' parents ever talk to you about screen time for kids?
Yeah.
What do they say?
I mean, they'll ask me, how long should they be on? Do you think they're on too long? And I think... first of all, you put a number on something, and I compare it to like a diet. If you say, how many pounds should we lose, or what should we be eating? The second you say, don't eat French fries, don't eat donuts, that's all your kids are going to want to do. So the focus on limiting it to your kids doesn't really get you anywhere. I think the focus needs to be on what else they're doing and how they're thriving. If they're doing well in school, they're getting their homework done, they have their sports or their activities, and they're doing great. Who cares how much? You're doing a podcast on all the hours of TV you watch. So what example is that setting for our kids?
It's bad. I feel really bad. I'm not a good example to my son.
No,
and I'm very
we all
worried.
Are. You get bored at a grocery store waiting in line and you pull out your iPhone. Everything you do, when the second we have a second of where we should be patient, we can't be because we are all trained to grab our phone and look at a screen. So I guess I'm defending the kids for wanting to look at their screen.
Yeah.
Because it's their version of TGIF or Saved by the Bell or all the things we watch. We came home and we're glued to a TV. Kids don't care about a TV as much as their screen. But they need to be doing other things. And parents need to be involved and they need to talk to their kids more as opposed to just... Like if you're throwing your kid an iPad so you don't have to parent, which we all do, but if that's happening at excessive levels and hours on end, that's the wrong thing. I think the AP for American Academy of Pediatrics recommends maybe an hour at a certain age, and then it can be 2 hours after. But again, I don't like focusing on the number. As long as if your kids had the longest day and they just need to drown themselves in an iPad for a few hours, who cares if they have a good mindset? But
so my concern
I just think you got to make sure your kid's well-rounded.
Right.
I started out by saying it's like a diet. Everything in moderation.
Right.
And they're going to use it. They're going to want the screen. So instead of focusing on how to limit it, figure out how to make it work and make sure the rest of their lives are working well.
I love that. And I feel good about like a regular school week. He's in school. He has his activities. We say, let's say no YouTube during the week, only on the weekends.
Yeah.
It's the school break that's killing me. And we're in a school break right now. And there's more screen time than normal.
Move
because
on.
He's
Don't be hurt.
We're on break.
You're on break. Let him be. If he's a good kid and he's not, if you want to have the content conversation, which is a completely different conversation, like if your kid's not trustworthy, if you don't know what they're doing, what they're looking up on YouTube, if they're looking at, God forbid, porn, God knows what, that's a whole different situation. But if your kid is trustworthy and they're just wanting to play for whatever game or whatever Roblox with their friends, who cares?
I gotta tell you, you're making me feel better because the mom guilt is strong. And the mom guilt is strong because I am obviously like the number one bad example because I love sitting in my bed and watching shows like all the time.
Right.
And during this school break, I had just been away. I really just wanted to get in my bed and rest.
I got to be a parent. 1 second, Genevieve. I'm recording a podcast. I'm going to be famous. Give me a second. No yelling for 5 more minutes.
Are you still rolling?
Thank God. Hope so.
I mean, that's
real life.
That's Felicia's cracking up. Mom, when you crack
up into the mic. We love hearing you giggle.
That's hysterical.
Okay. But wait, hold on. I need to do a comment on the guilt, okay? Because that's what a lot of parents, they feel, stop feeling, if you're doing everything else with your kid and you have a good relationship and he tells you his feelings and he opens up to you, which he does, and my kids do. It's okay because look at you. He's taking after you. The last episode or the episode before, Felicia raised you, taking him to Dirty Dancing at 3 years old.
I mean, so I was 6, but I really appreciate that you remember that fact.
Fine, 3, 6, double. But like, you just have to make sure you have the balance. And if you're spending quality time with your kid, forget about the screen as long as you know they're responsible about it. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and let them have 8 hours, but like, you're working.
Just this week.
You're busy. It's a vacation. Who cares? He's always having fun on his iPad. I wouldn't sweat that as long as his life is fulfilled and he's happy.
How often are parents bringing this up to you? Is this like a common thing or?
Well, it was really common a while ago. Like
pandemic.
Before pandemic. No, pandemic changed the concern. So before the pandemic, people were like all about the AP policies and asking and wanting to me to lecture their kid about how long they should be on the iPad, which, mind you, I kind of feel like is the parents, I see a kid for 15 minutes.
I would never waste the pediatrician's time.
And I'm like, come on, you got to figure that out. But like if you see that too much time on the iPad is making your kid seem less patient or less focused, with the whole ADD conversation, now I'm really going off. But people that ask, can iPads cause ADD? No, they're not going to cause it. But they make us all become a little less focused and more inattentive because there's, pun intended, apps open in our brain all the time. So when you're wanting to be back on, if it's affecting your kid's performance in school, getting their homework done, all that, then you have to be the mindful parent and limit it. But if they're doing well, wow. Move on. Don't focus on the time. But pre-pandemic, parents were starting to get concerned because it was a hot topic. Screen time is not a hot topic, right? This world is so messed up. No one cares. It's like as long as your kid is happy, who cares? Because then the pandemic hit, and that was their only way to communicate was the screen. So you wanted them on the screen talking to their friends.
Okay, really quick before you have to parent. And by the way, Dr. Emily has 3 children. So really quick. I'm so fascinated by the TikTok trend of little girls and the skincare of it all. Mm-hmm. And Emily's married to a dermatologist who does mole surgery, so she's like very in the know of skin. What do you tell parents about the girls? Like, is it ridiculous that these girls, are they going to ruin their skin in the long run?
Well, there's so many aspects of why it's ridiculous. There's the financial aspects of bringing your kid to Sephora and you're just wasting money. But if that's not a concern of yours, they don't need it. I mean, everything that we do in our... Are we middle-aged? Do I have to say that?
I know.
But everything we do is we just want our skin looking like a 12-year-old girl or a 10-year-old girl.
I don't want my skin looking 12. I want my skin looking like it's my...
Okay, well, the Bravo celebrities do. And there's a whole... That's a pandemic. But, yeah. But I think it's... Look, there's worse things, kid.
Now? The skincare?
The skincare, yeah. As long as there's not retinol, as long as there's not...
This is the thing. These kids should not be using retinol.
No.
Why?
Well...
Should we bring the dermatologist?
Let's bring the dermatologist down. But my mind goes to, you cannot use it when you're pregnant because it can affect. So to me, if
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't. So what
if I did?
So
I don't recall.
Should we bring Aaron? Aaron, we need your expert opinion.
Dr. Cetner.
This is real.
Can you come talk?
This is the other Dr. Cetner, Aaron Cetner.
Okay. So Dr. Cetner is a dermatologist who does mole surgery. Really quick.
Yeah.
Mothers, parents that are letting their little girls go to Sephora and get a ton of skincare. What do you say to them? Are they inquiring and questioning this? Is it bad for them?
And retinols.
Retinol. Kids. Like teenage girls going to Sephora, spending
8-year-old girls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a danger to retinols, but there's also not a usefulness to retinols at that age.
At that age, why?
Well, I mean, they probably aren't, I think these kids are extremely sun protective at this point. They're not getting any exposure. They're using it basically because they're worried about aging, right? And there's really no aging going on at that age, right? I mean, they haven't had photo damage. They haven't had enough time. Their collagen actually is a little different composition than even ours is at that age, so I'm not even necessarily sure the benefit. They're having probably a higher turnover and higher regeneration rate anyway. So I don't think there's possibly a harm other than maybe the sort of psychosocial impact of them starting this that early on in their life and being so concerned enough to actually care at that point.
Do you think if these 8-year-olds are so obsessed now with their skincare, is Botox going to be started at a younger age now, like in their 20s?
Yeah, and there actually is a negative impact to that.
Why?
Well, because you're causing paralysis of muscles, and with paralysis, with having your nerve not activating the muscle, you actually get atrophy, you get thinning. So when you start Botox too early, you can actually cause a hollowness to those areas of the face, kind of paradoxically. Yeah.
What do you think, other Dr. Cetner? Into the mic.
What do you mean? What do I think? That's the expert opinion.
That was amazing.
But the reason why I thought I go to retinols you can't use during pregnancy, so there's got to be something bad with 11-year-olds wanting to use it. Does that not matter?
Well, as long as they're not pregnant.
Wait, why can't you
that's
use...
a whole other conversation.
Why can't you use retinol when you're pregnant?
It's just, well, I mean, it's an extrapolation from like oral retinols, which would cause birth defects, but topicals may be no problem. I actually am not familiar with any studies on that. I'm not sure there have been. But even so, I guess the issue is really more, what's their point in using a retinol? In other words, their motivation for using a retinol at the age 11 is not because they're really concerned about aging, or if it is their motivation, that's a problem. They're 11.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for your expertise. This was really mind-blowing and a nice venture away from talking about Bravo shows. So thank you, doctors. Thank you. Are you guys
love you? Wait. Can I say bye, Felicia?
You guys could go parent now. Parent my child as well.
Go blue.
That was fascinating.
It was, because, how often do we have a chance to really speak to a pediatrician about our children's side life, another life, or
a dermatologist?
Nobody ever has the time to ask those questions when you're in the office, I mean. Most doctors are rush.
Right.
They don't have the time. They're doing their thing, and then you're out.
I do feel better about the screen time that my son has, and I'm grateful I don't have a daughter. So moving to our next segment. Guys, we have a new segment. Felicia, are you ready for this?
I don't know.
It's called Trailer Talk.
Coming soon to theaters.
Right. Okay. Because every week I post sometimes like a movie trailer that I'm interested in, that I want to see, or that I think is not great. So, Felicia, let's talk. Summer Camp is coming out May 31st. We have Kathy Bates, Diane Keaton, Eugene Levi, Nicole Richie, who is a camp counselor, and it's about a camp reunion.
After how many years? Because it's got to be at least 50.
So, lo and behold, if you don't know me well, I love all things sleepaway camp. I love all things camp. And if the word camp is in a movie, I will run to the theater. I ran to see theater camp. I love camp movies. When I saw that Nicole Richie was in a movie called Summer Camp, I was like, this is going to be great, because she's got a funny bone in her body. Nicole Richie's fucking cool.
She is.
I made Felicia watch this trailer. Mom?
Yes, the trailer was interesting. I mean, you know how I feel about seeing women who are in their 70s.
I think this is garbage. I think this is going to be one of the worst movies of the year. I'm so Are you shocked?
No, because I agree with you.
But are you shocked at my reaction to it?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Of course.
This should have been about people in their 40s.
Absolutely.
Not people in their, what, are they 80?
Well, no,
how old is Diane Keaton? What are we talking about?
Certainly in her 70s, maybe she is.
This is so stupid.
She looks great, but that's irrelevant.
This is so unrealistic. Would you ever go back to a sleepaway camp that you went to now? No, you wouldn't even go to a high school reunion.
Right. I wouldn't even go to
Or would you?
No, I wouldn't.
By the way, side note, for all my listeners, I just want to know, bombs have been dropped this weekend, and I'm learning a lot about my mother that she's never fucking told me. In the Uber on the way here, Felicia started bringing up a boyfriend she had in high school. And I never even knew you had any boyfriends in high school. I thought Daddy was the only one.
You exhaust me. That's all I have to say.
So, will you see Summer Camp in theaters?
No, not in theaters.
Will you wait to see Summer Camp streaming?
If I have nothing to do and there's nothing on, I might.
Did you see Brady, the 80 for Brady? Did you ever see it?
No, I wouldn't. I
had no desire.
I refused. No, my friends went to see it. I refused.
Why?
the thought of these women carrying on at that age, and I just couldn't. I can't watch it.
I just feel like I think it's really great that they're giving roles to these women. And they're
that's
writing
great.
parts for these women,
but not ridiculous
They're
parts.
writing the wrong parts.
Yes, I mean, do something soulful, something real, not the stupid.
I like this.
I mean,
Mom.
don't get me wrong. My friends and I are going away, but there will be no ridiculous. Well, we will be drinking, sitting by a pool, but that's the
right. Let's
extent
see like
of
a
it.
realistic version
Right.
of like women in their 70s going to Greece, maybe looking at cute younger men that they don't really approach.
But we don't say anything.
Right.
We never
You
approach.
flirt with the
You look,
waiter.
and that's it. Maybe.
But what's the drama? What's the conflict that happens in your script?
I don't know. I'm not a script writer, but I'll have
But
to.
you could think of something good.
Eventually, I'll think of something.
Is there fighting with you and your friends?
We hope not, but there could be. Not with.
See, that's the script.
Yes, that's the script. And in a previous trip that we took, there wasn't fighting, but there was a lot of tension with one person because it's her way or no way.
Well, this is the shit that I want to see. 70-year-old women, dealing
More with a real conflict, not as stupid.
Take note, Hollywood. Did you watch the trailer for Blink Twice?
Yeah.
Coming out August 23rd in theaters. It's Zoe Kravitz is directing.
Yes, I saw that. She wrote it or directed it?
She's directing it, and it's with her boyfriend now, Channing Tatum. You know they're
And
dating.
here's the thing with that particular trailer. It was so quick that for a moment I kept thinking, well, who is that guy? He kind of looks like...
Are you kidding me?
No,
it was so
took me-
clearly Channing Tatum.
I could not tell. I could not,
Okay,
me.
that's
and I could not tell anything else. And I don't know if this is a comedy or a serious movie or a death or a,
like a mystery.
Like a
I
mystery.
got 9 Perfect Strangers vibe. Like he plays a tech billionaire. He meets this cocktail waitress at a fun and at a gala, and he invites everybody to an island, like a dream vacation in a private island.
What does that sound like? Ooh.
9 Perfect Strangers.
No, but it also sounds like Gary Epstein. Gary Epstein?
Mom, Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey
My
Epstein.
goodness,
Sorry.
Felicia.
Sorry, Gary.
I don't think it's a movie about
I hope
him
not.
harassing women.
I hope not.
No, maybe there's a death, but I would watch this, but not in the theater.
No, not in the theater because it'll be on streaming 2 weeks later.
But there's some movies I like to go to the theater for. This is not one of them. Also, anytime LCD sound system is used in a trailer, I just love it. It's a great track for a trailer. All right. I think that was a lot.
That was a lot.
I'm impressed. All right, let's move on to Circumcised Gems. Mom, did you watch? I gave you homework. Did you watch Under the Bridge on Hulu?
Once I saw what the subject matter is and what it was about, it's very difficult for me to watch that subject matter. It just makes me crazy about young girls, death, hiding, that type of thing. Crazy people. I can't watch it. Or other
So
girls.
you didn't even start it?
No, I didn't start it.
Wow. Okay.
I just can't watch it.
Well, I'm 3 episodes in. 3 episodes did drop, and I'm enjoying it.
All right, I'll wait for you to finish it, and then you'll tell me.
Spoiler: there's some girl kissing,
That's
and
it.
not teenage kissing. Lily Gladstone obviously was clearly a lesbian in this.
Okay, that's not offensive.
Kisses
That
Riley.
doesn't mind. I don't. That's not what
I know
I'm
it was
talking
the
about.
It wasn't kidnapping.
Well, we don't know. Well,
If there's no kidnapping, whatever.
But
Girl
there was-
goes missing. So
right.
this is upsetting to you,
Right.
When a girl goes missing.
Yes, or when anybody goes missing, whether it's just anybody goes missing, nobody knows, and then 10 years later they find their body under the bridge.
This upsets
which,
you.
Yes,
Okay. So take note for those that would upset.
don't watch.
Don't watch it. We were the lucky ones. I know. I thought you would ask me this. When does it end? I think next week is the finale. I believe that we have one more episode left. Are you up to date?
Absolutely.
I want to give the actor that plays Addie, Logan Lerman. He is so cute. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. What was he? What else
So,
was he in? And
he
I know
was in-
it was when he was younger.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Right.
But there was something else that he was in that I watched. I don't know anybody else that watched it because it only had one season, but I loved it in 2004. And I think you did watch this on the CW, a show called Jack and Bobby.
Right. Did watch it. Now I know. Okay. Because
He
I
was
kept
like
thinking,
a kid,
look
Mom.
at, yes, he was a kid.
And it was that show
It was
about
so good.
It was about
Right.
brothers,
Yeah.
and one of them becomes the president in the future, and it was like a mockumentary, and it was so sweet.
It was very sweet.
and
And
it
he
gave you Kennedy vibes.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Jack and Bobby.
It was-
I mean,
that-
I love that you watched that.
yes.
We definitely, and I always remember his face from that show.
Which is why when I looked at him and I went, wow, he was a child actor. I mean, like a teenage actor, and I just don't remember what he was in, but I certainly knew you would know. once I was here and you would tell me.
I'm glad that I was here for you.
Right.
Obviously, it's weird watching We Were the Lucky Ones with how fucked up everything's going on right now with college campuses and the protests and everything. And I know this is very upsetting for you, but just hearing that, University of Southern California announced that they are canceling their commencement ceremony, and there's a lot of college graduations coming up in May, and what I want people to realize is this graduating class of college missed their high school graduation because of COVID. And I just find that so sad.
It is.
And fascinating and fucked up that that generation
really got screwed.
Yeah, and the impact that it's going to take on them. And I don't want to get deep into the college protests of it all because that's another
show.
Are you still watching, or did you give up on So You Think You Can Dance?
Now, I told you I didn't like this season. I didn't like the format, and in my mind, I'm right.
You are right. I have a bone to pick. This is add a sound effect.
I don't think the dances are as good as they were
back in the day.
And I don't think the numbers are as good. I was so disappointed in that Broadway thing.
Oh, you watched it?
I watched that, and because you said Broadway, I went, okay. I was like, really? That's what you came up with?
I've had some listeners contact me because they know I love dance shows, and they were like, do you like the format? And I was like, at first I was like, I'll give it a shot. I get it. There's another season. This show's been on for, 20 years. Like, it's been on a while. Producers are like, we got to change it up. I gave it a shot. It is so awful.
Awful.
I'm fast forwarding. I'm pulling a Felicia.
I'm doing the same. Well, that's what I did. Right. That's what
I think some of the boy Easton's amazing.
But I don't even care about their backstories anymore. I just want to see the dance.
We're not giving
You're
their
right,
backstory.
but I just want to see them do their dance. I'm not interested in the lead up or the rehearsals and all that. It's like too much on that aspect. The old format, they might have had 5 minutes of them where they would show the rehearsal. Now it's
just not good. And they need. So this is a message to the producers. Go back. Like, if it ain't fixed,
if it's not broke, keep it.
It's not broken, keep it. But I get that they need to switch something up. Sure, switch something up. Bring back the live audience. That poor live audience is only in when these people have to dance for their lives.
It really.
I saw that show live a bunch of times when I was in LA.
Right. Oh. I didn't know
maybe
that.
once or twice. It was a lot of standing around.
Right.
A lot.
Standing and waiting.
And that was annoying. So maybe I did it once, but bring it back. Wow. I also actually watched The Challenge Home Turf. That is a show on Hulu where every single episode is about like a vet from the challenge, like Real Rose Challenge. And I only watched the CT episode and I really, really enjoyed it. Hit me up if you watched this. Some of the people that they're doing the episodes on, I don't know that well because they weren't like, you watched The Real World, right?
Well, the beginning, the first.
I love The Real World. It's one of my favorites.
Few years, yeah.
So, but I feel like this is a good show to watch when like there's nothing else on. So did you watch any, and I know you did, take out your phone, take out your notes, open the notes. Did you watch a Korean show that was not a show you've already seen? Mom, you watched something that was Korean.
I watch a lot of things, but can I just tell you something? Are we going to do the Korean? All right.
Stand by. I want to hear about something that you've watched that...
I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you something else.
Stand by. Oh, God. Hold on.
Nothing else. It's nothing.
All right. Go.
When I watch something and I end up loving the soundtrack, I end up Shazamming it, which, by the way, I've never done in my life, and you had it on my phone forever, never, ever used it. Now I use it when I hear something I really like. Anyway, I have the soundtracks on a few shows that I love, and I have it on my playlist. And I listen to it, like usual, over and over again.
Is it K-pop?
No. Well, no, it's just it's the soundtrack, whether they're K-pop or just, and a lot of them are not Korean. They use Japanese. It's whoever pulls out the music or, does that stuff. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
Anyway, but it's enjoyable for me. There's something called, which is brand new, Queen of Tears, and I hate it. But the last 2 episodes I think are on this weekend, which obviously, because I'm visiting Marni's friend, I cannot watch their TVs because I don't want their algorithms to turn Korean, so I don't.
Yeah, it's like if you have Felicia visit, we can't have her on your Netflix.
Right.
So you can watch it on your phone, though. Download it for the plane.
It's not that important. I'll watch it when I got home.
All right. Well, I'm glad to know that you love the Korean playlists. All right, Mom. I know you don't watch Summer House, but you've heard about Summer House on Bravo.
Yes.
I want to put an apology out. I would like to put a statement out to Carl, because Carl, last summer when they were filming, he broke this, wedding up with Lindsay, and he got all the heat. He was made out to be the bad guy. Really made out to be the bad guy. Now that the show is airing, you see this relationship is fucking awful. You think to yourself, how could this man marry this woman? So I want to put an apology out there to Carl. I'm sorry that I judged you without seeing the footage. Now that I've seen the footage, I'm so glad you broke up this wedding, because she's awful. She's awful. Also, I've got some tea. I have a listener who hit me up today. She, last night, and I'll say her name, we have another Emily. It's New York Emily, not Dr. Emily from Michigan. She was in Fort Greene last night at the Fritz. She sat next to Danielle and Maya, okay, from Summer House. Maya was in a previous season, and overheard them talking. And if you don't know Brooklyn restaurants well, that seating is tight. And she overheard, are you ready for this one? Maya said to Danielle, "Who are you fucking?" And Danielle said, "Nobody." Also, she said, "How are you on terms with Carl?" And Danielle said that they were on good terms, because they had some fights in the past. I just love this tea. Thank you, New York Emily, for that tea. So I hope Carl gets my apology. And yeah, what a week it's been. Sugar, you watched on the plane here.
Yes, love it. Love, love, love.
Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I'm really gonna fuck this up. If you don't watch Sugar, sure, you could listen to this. If you want to watch Sugar, fast forward 30 seconds. Do you think David is dead?
Yes.
Are you?
Well, wait.
Because they made it seem like they were trying to revive him in the ambulance.
So we don't know whether he might live like in a coma or something.
I'm just curious if we think
I don't know.
Dead.
In my mind, he was dead.
Shot himself in the head.
Well, that's how, yeah.
Wow. I did not expect that.
I didn't either.
But I get why he did it.
I get why he did it also. He's a terrible person, but that's because of his parents and his family and everybody else around him.
Right. I love the show Sugar. If you're
Love
not
it.
watching
I
it,
love
watching
it.
it. So I made Felicia. I didn't make you. You wanted to watch this. We started the Jon Bon Jovi documentary.
Wait, no. Can we just go back? I also watched the Duran Duran. Which was only an hour, so that was an easy watch. I enjoyed it. It was very interesting.
What's that
it's not
on?
like I was a
You weren't a Duran Duran fan.
I mean,
what made you watch the Duran Duran?
I liked the music, but I certainly didn't go out of my way to buy an album or, I just liked it. Their videos, which started MTV, as far as I'm concerned.
Video Killed the Radio Star started MTV.
Right. But they were very slick. And the people behind Duran Duran, whoever, managed them, they had real directors and producers doing their videos. They were very well made, and it was very interesting watching.
Which is funny because we got through 2 episodes of the Jon Bon Jovi doc, and he talks about the music videos and how shitty they were because directors and producers.
His were shitty. Duran Duran's were not.
Interesting.
And if you see the show, you'll see the difference.
What do you think of the Bon Jovi doc?
I like it. I like Bon Jovi. I just didn't go out of my way to see him. And, he's a New Jersey boy, and I find he's very bright. And in the show, you see that he is he is the band. He led them.
We had Richie Sambora, but I'm trying to get to the point. I hope they discuss. I feel like there was an out with Richie Sambora, and I want to hear it.
Which they haven't gotten to yet.
Also, it's so rare, I feel like, to have a 1980s rock band that didn't do drugs or drink.
Well, we don't. Well,
they made. There was an episode where they were not an episode. There was a part in the doc where they were the high was the music.
Right.
We didn't drink. I'm enjoying it. If you were a fan of the music, what's funny is just because I'm with a college friend, we had this memory of we saw Jon Bon Jovi senior year. We took a limo, I guess, to Detroit, and we saw Jon Bon Jovi. And on my group thread, I was reminded that we got into a fight or something with the girls in front of us. One of our friends fell out of the limo. We had to bandage her up. It was a real crazy, hectic night. But I will always have a love for Jon Bon Jovi. I mean, there's nothing.
He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. He's great. He's
sad,
family and
seeing him get old. He's aging well.
He's very handsome.
very handsome, but it seems like he's having major like vocal issues.
Yeah, right.
I think this is worth the watch. So we have to go to the big elephant in the room, which is our uncut, uncircumcised gems of the week. And it's the show of the week that everybody and their mother and their grandmother is talking about. Felicia, do you know what it is? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Baby Reindeer.
Okay. Baby Reindeer. It dropped literally the day we were recording last week. And I knew it's number 1 on Netflix in one day. It went straight to number 1. 7 episodes. Oh my God. This is going to be the show.
I think it was only 30 minutes or 35 minutes. It was an easy, time-wise, it was an easy watch.
Episode, one of the episodes, episode 4 was longer. Lo and behold, my husband works weekends. And Casey, I know you're here and I don't want to apologize because you work weekends. What am I doing on a Sunday? I had time to watch it and I finished it in probably 24 hours and I don't regret it, baby. I'm so sorry.
Did you finish it yet?
I did. Just
You finished it.
Thank goodness.
I actually intentionally finished it before this taping because I didn't want any spoilers.
So if you haven't watched Baby Reindeer, watch it.
It's a hard watch.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating. It's disturbing. And I have to tell you, some parts it was like I had to literally close my eyes.
I just want to go back a minute, Mom, because you texted me the following. I received a text from Felicia that said, Baby Reindeer, very ugly people. Now, Mom, he was not that ugly. He's not that ugly. And let me remind you, when we went to London, do you remember when we went to London?
Yeah.
I remember saying, there's not really a lot of attractive people here. You said that. We'd go to the bars.
I said there weren't or there were?
No, there were not. They had bad teeth. Like, I just remember that being a thing when we went to London.
Okay.
I'm sorry if there's any London listeners, but I don't think he's that bad looking. Then you get the backstory here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a true story. And
he's the actor. He's the
Richard
writer.
Gadd,
right.
He wrote it. He's in it. He created it. And it's about his life, how he was stalked, how he was abused, and he made it as a play. And then it gets this show. And now it's blowing up. Like, if you're not watching this show, you're not part of the water cooler talk. And another part I want to say to my husband, Casey, I'm going to give you credit for something. Do you want to know what it is? The water cooler. My husband said, we need a water cooler. And I was like, it takes up space. We don't spend the money, da-da-da. He said, you'll love it. I do love the water cooler, okay? Wait.
How many conversations we've had around that?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. I needed to watch Baby Reindeer in 24 hours to go to my water cooler and have the talk. I'm on my text chains. We're bringing it up. I work from home. That's my water cooler. I need to be able to talk about a show before it's ruined by everybody in America. So I just want to say that. Thank you for the water cooler, baby. Baby Reindeer is the show of the week for sure.
Yes.
Would you recommend it, Mom?
I would have to give it's a hard watch. I watched it,
it's
obviously.
It's a hard watch. And
it's good. It's very good. I don't want to take that away from it. But it's
a hard watch.
Hard.
But the fact that you hear that it's this story of for him to act this out is really amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Right.
It's amazing. And I asked you, Casey, to let me know when you got to the monologue where he's doing that end monologue, that end performance. Right. I would rewatch that meltdown because seeing that, him retell the story, I really thought this show was great. And do you take back that they're very ugly people? Even Martha wasn't ugly. She was just overweight.
No, she was really,
she's not ugly.
I guess I'm shallow. I am shallow, and I'm the first to admit it. I do like a show with very good-looking people. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm.
But you also like you like the British shows. Like I love
British shows. And by the way, the character who plays his father, I don't know his name, but I've seen him in other things.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
Wow.
To me, he was the only one I recognized.
I like that there was nobody famous in it. I love that, like, when a show hits number 1 on Netflix and there's nobody famous in it, that's when you know this is going to be big.
Right, but I am shallow. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you for admitting it.
Right.
There's so much that we covered. I actually don't think there's many new things dropping this week.
Bye, Felicia.
There's not, and I feel like maybe this is the impact of the strike starting to happen. Like, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy hasn't been on in a few weeks. Like, there's a lot of shows not on, but I'm definitely making my way to the movie theater to see the Zendaya movie officially on Thursday night. I'm going to go see it, The Challengers. Also, this is a side note for Casey. This isn't on this week, but baby, the story of Lollapalooza, there's going to be a documentary on it about on Paramount Plus on May 21st. It's a 3-part series about the story of Lollapalooza. Lola, it's called. And we went to Lola. We went, and it premiered at Sundance, and I will be watching that. So, and we also have a special guest next week. There's so much happening, Mom. Don't you fret. We will have more to discuss. So, follow me at Marni Jagger. And thank you for listening. Please share. I do feel like we have 3,000 listens right now, which is so great, Mom.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Are you happy?
Yes.
And
I'm
I just want to give a
astounded, but
shout
yes.
out to one of our listeners, Mr. Jordan Smith in DC. Mom, we put him on the phone with you. He's a big fan. And you don't realize people are listening.
Yes, people are listening.
And people are taking notes. So thank you. And share it with your friends. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Marni.
Go Blue!
Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia.